Hey you guys, buckle up because this one is pure suburban nightmare fuel. Picture a picture-perfect American neighborhood where every blade of grass is exactly 2.5 inches long, and the HOA rules are treated like the Ten Commandments. Then imagine one bloated, power-tripping Karen who turns that peaceful little slice of heaven into her personal kingdom of fines, liens, and absolute bullshit. And the victim? A woman who just wanted to honor her dead grandma's house. You're not going to believe how this entitled had tried to steal an entire inheritance until a secret video from beyond the grave made her entire fake empire crumble. Stick around, because the justice porn at the end is chef's kiss. The air at Grandma Eleanor's funeral smelled less like lilies and more like fresh-cut grass and desperation. The funeral home sat right on the edge of Sunnyvale Estates, that quiet little HOA bubble outside Phoenix where every mailbox matched and every driveway sparkled like the neighbors were auditioning for a magazine. Clara West, 32, stood off to the side in a simple black dress, the family's designated realist who always handled the paperwork while everyone else performed grief like it was an Oscar category. Her parents, Diana and Mark, were in full theatrical mode, Diana dabbing perfectly dry eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief, Mark tapping his phone like he was already calculating probate fees. Whispers floated around the sad little buffet table. Did you see the market value of her 3-bedroom? Which lawyer is handling the estate? Ross wasn't mourning here. It was a financial event. Grandma Eleanor had prepaid her own funeral years ago, the same way she'd planned everything else with military precision. I don't want anyone turning my goodbye into a circus or a bill, she used to say over coffee. Yet here were Clara's parents sighing dramatically about funeral expenses like they were personally bankrupting themselves to bury their mother. Clara just watched, stomach tight. She was the executor of the will. Grandma had insisted on it, much to her parents' annoyance, so she knew the numbers. The house in Sunnyvale Estates, paid off free and clear, plus a revocable trust holding exactly $400,000 earmarked for property taxes, maintenance, and the 2 granddaughters, Clara and her younger sister Sophie. Split evenly. A week later, the fake flowers wilted and the sympathy cards stopped. Clara logged into the bank portal every morning like clockwork. For 6 days, the trust balance sat there rock solid. On the 7th day, the entire line item vanished. Not zeroed out, gone, like it had never existed. She called the bank. Polite rep informed her the account had been closed at the request of the secondary trustee.
I did not authorize this.
Her father's name was listed. House and found her mother in the kitchen, new quartz countertops still smelling of sealant, humming along to soft rock. Mom, the trust is gone, Clara said. Diana didn't even stop wiping. Oh, sweetie, don't worry your pretty little head. Your father is moving it into a more efficient vehicle for the family. When Clara pressed for account numbers, the smile tightened. It's being handled properly. Honestly, Clara, this suspicion is unbecoming. Sophie, 5 years younger and floating through life on parental approval, was zero help. They're doing it for us, Clara. You're overthinking it. The isolation was surgical. Clara drove to Grandma's, now technically her and Sophie's house in Sunnyvale Estates. The air still smelled of lavender and old books. In the bottom drawer of the tidy office desk, she found a thin manila folder, an older photocopy of the will with Grandma's spidery handwritten notes. On the signature line for the executor, a thick, angry red line crossed out the entire space. It felt like a warning screamed across time. Driving home, the altered document riding shotgun like an accuser, the pieces snapped together, the disappearing trust, the parents' dismissiveness, the HOA notices already piling up on the new house's door. Because Sunnyvale Estates wasn't just any neighborhood. It was ruled by Karen Hargrove, president of the HOA, a 280-pound monument to entitlement squeezed into a series of loud floral power suits that looked like a couch had thrown up on her. She had already sent 3 violation notices in the first 10 days Clara moved in, grass half an inch too long, flowers not on the approved color palette, an American flag allegedly too large. Each fine started at $250 and escalated fast. Clara sat her car outside the house that night, the red line on the will glowing under the streetlight. She ordered a voice-activated recorder the size of a chapstick. 2 days later it arrived. Every phone call, every HOA meeting, every casual chat with Karen would now be captured. Because this wasn't just about money anymore. This was about proving who the real thief was. And in Sunnyvale Estates, the thief wore pastel blazers and carried a clipboard like it was a scepter. The first HOA board meeting Clara attended felt like stepping into a cult. Folding chairs in the community center, fluorescent lights buzzing, Karen at the head table in a lime green suit 2 sizes too small, fake pearls straining against her neck. "We take community standards very seriously," Karen in tone, voice dripping with fake piety. She slid a fresh stack of violation notices across the table toward Clara. "Your grandmother's garden was always such a problem child. Those roses? Not approved cultivar. That's a $750 special assessment, dear." The room murmured approval. Clara's parents sat in the back row, nodding like they were proud of their daughter finally learning the rules. Clara smiled thinly, recorder warm in her pocket. "I'll pay the fine today," she said sweetly, "but I'd like to see the exact section of the covenants that lists approved rose cultivars." Karen's face twitched. "A vendor list, Clara. That'll be unfair to our preferred landscapers." Dark chuckle rippled through the room. Classic HOA logic, rules for thee, but not for Karen, whose own backyard looked like a junkyard with a work-in-progress sign. That night Clara sat in Grandma's old wooden desk, now hers under moonlight. She'd kept the house exactly as Eleanor left it. In the bottom drawer, the altered will still stared back. She opened her laptop and started a new encrypted folder, evidence. Every fine, every email, every recorded conversation went in. 2 weeks of silence from her parents followed the meeting. They hated silence more than anger. So they sent Sophie as the messenger. Late-night texts. "Mom and Dad are worried about you. This obsession with the HOA is not healthy." Clara's reply was clinical. "Tell them their management is about to be reviewed. I'm conducting a full audit of Grandma's estate accounts." The word audit landed like a grenade. Next morning, an email from a downtown law firm landed in her inbox. "Cease and desist regarding the estate of Eleanor West." 3 pages of legalese accusing her of tortious interference and emotional distress. Signed by Arthur Vance, Karen's golf buddy, and the HOA's attorney. Clara saved the PDF heart steady. They had just put their panic in writing. She called Sophie and let the recorder run. Sophie sobbed on cue. "How could you do this to the family, Clara? Karen says you're trying to destroy the whole neighborhood." Clara kept her voice gentle. "Sophie, why do you think they hired a lawyer to stop me from checking the math?" The pause on the other end was delicious. Then Clara sent the first screenshot, a wire transfer for the estate trust to a community renovation account that somehow paid for Karen's new granite countertops and a first-class trip to Cancun for the board. No explanation. Sophie went radio silent for 3 days. Meanwhile, the fines kept coming. $1, $200 now, then $2,500. Karen personally banged on Clara's door at 7 a.m. One Saturday, clipboard in hand, face red and sweaty. "Your mailbox decal is peeling. That's a safety hazard." Clara stood there in pajamas, recorder blinking. "Karen, the covenants say nothing about decals." I checked. Karen leaned in, breath smelling of ranch dressing. "The board has discretionary authority, sweetie. Pay or we lien the house." Click. Discretionary authority. Got it. Clara drove to Grandma's house alone again, the one place that still felt safe. She sat at the old desk and opened the bottom drawer one more time. Tucked behind the stationery was a small cardboard box she'd overlooked before. Inside, Grandma's ancient silver flip phone, battery somehow still holding a ghost charge, and beside it a tiny black USB drive taped with a note, "For Clara only." Her hands shook. She plugged it in. "Clara." The screen flickered. Paler than Clara remembered, sitting in her favorite armchair. "If you're watching this, darling, it means I was right. They went through with it." Eleanor's voice was thin but steel-edged. She explained everything. The $400,000 wasn't just inheritance. It was bait. Or split for the girls. The last $100,000 hidden in a separate Delaware trust under Clara's name only, CWG Guardian Holdings. I needed to know if the goodness I tried to teach your parents was still there. It wasn't. Hargrove. She's been skimming HOA dues for years. I have the screenshots. She'll come for the house the moment I'm gone. Use this, Clara. You always have been. The video ended with a weak smile. Then Clara opened the password-protected folder, Grandma's maiden name. Bank statements, wire transfers, Karen's personal purchases charged to community improvement, screenshots of emails between Karen and Clara's parents, liquidate the trust into the holding account. Clara doesn't need it. Oh. Clara sat in the dark, fury burning clean and white-hot. Grandma had given her the war chest and the map. She copied everything to encrypted cloud storage, ejected the drive, and drove home. For the next 2 weeks, she gave Karen and her parents nothing but silence. No outbursts, no replies. The void unnerved them more than screaming ever could. Karen escalated, a certified letter threatening foreclosure lien if the $8,700 in fines wasn't paid immediately. Clara paid it from her own checking account, not the trust, and filed the receipt. Then she mailed Karen a single sheet of paper, a formal request for the full HOA financial audit under Arizona statute. Copy to the state attorney general. The board meeting that followed was a circus. Karen waddled to the podium in a violet magenta suit, sweating under the lights. "This is harassment," she bellowed. Clara stood calmly at the microphone, recorder in pocket. "I'm simply asking for transparency on where my grandmother's estate funds went, and why the board president's new pool was paid for with community enhancement money." Gasps rippled. Karen's face went purple. "That is a vicious lie." Clara just smiled. "Then you won't mind if the AG's office looked." The cease and desist letters multiplied. Karen's lawyer friend sent another, threatening to sue for defamation. Clara saved everyone. Sophie finally cracked and called. "I saw the wire transfers, Clara. The Cancun trip was on Grandma's money." Her voice trembled. Clara stayed gentle. "Sophie. They always do." She sent the video link next. Sophie watched it in silence. Clara's door with red eyes. "I'm sorry." The sisters sat on the porch swing Grandma had loved, the recorder off for once. For the first time in years, they talked like equals. Meanwhile, the state opened an official investigation into Sunnyvale HOA finances. Clara's lawyer, retained with a secret $100,000 war chest, filed for auxiliary oversight of the trust. Karen's board scrambled. Oh, that was really a public execution attempt. Karen stood at the front in her loudest floral monstrosity, voice quivering with righteous fury. "Clara West is trying to destroy our beautiful community over personal grudges." The room was packed. Clara walked to the mic, calm as ever. "I have evidence that over $142,000 in HOA dues and estate funds have been misappropriated, including the $400,000 trust my grandmother left for this house." She projected the screenshots on the screen behind Karen. The room went dead quiet, closed like a fish. Those are taken out of context. That night, Clara's parents showed up unannounced, faces pale. "This has gone too far," her father hissed. "You're ruining us." Clara looked at them, not as parents, but as co-conspirators who had chosen Karen's side. "You chose the money over Grandma. Over me. Each other, right?" She closed the door. The silence that followed felt like victory. The summons came on a Tuesday. Not court, worse. A board hearing with a state investigator present. Karen arrived in full armor, Navy power suit stretched to the limit, heavy makeup cracking under stress. She tried one last performance, tears, trembling lip, the whole "I only wanted what's best for the community" routine. The investigator, a no-nonsense woman named Henderson, wasn't buying. She slid documents across the table. "According to the records, you personally authorized payments from the estate trust to your own LLC for consulting services. That's embezzlement." Hargrove. Karen's face drained of color. Clara sat quietly, the USB drive in her briefcase like a loaded gun. Henderson continued. Active enforcement. Your own backyard has been in violation for 18 months, yet zero fines. Meanwhile, Miss. Notices in 6 weeks. Karen sputtered. This is a witch hunt. Clara finally spoke, voice even. No, Karen. Honest people don't need lawyers to hide math. The room erupted in murmurs. Neighbors who had once nodded along to Karen's decrees now looked uncomfortable. One elderly woman stood up. I lost my roof repair money because of her special assessments. Enough is enough. The hearing ended with Karen placed on administrative leave pending full forensic audit. Clara walked out into the Arizona evening, the desert air cool on her skin. Sophie waited on the curb. They didn't hug. They just stood shoulder to shoulder, watching the sunset paint the identical roofs gold. You did it, Sophie whispered. Clara shook her head. I just delivered the package. The public reckoning hit like a summer storm. The local news ran the story, Sunnyvale HOA president under investigation for embezzlement of estate funds. Karen's face, sweaty, furious, caught mid-rant in a still from the town hall, dominated the evening broadcast. The lien on her own house was next. Turns out she'd been using HOA money to cover personal credit cards for years. Neighbors who once feared her now taped violation notices to her own door in ironic revenge. Clara didn't gloat. Fall with the same quiet precision she'd used to build the case. 2 months later, the settlement email arrived. Full restitution, $200,000 wired back to the estate, $100K each for Clara and Sophie, plus the original $100,000 guardian account. The Hart Legacy Foundation was born the next day, a scholarship fund for young women studying finance and real estate law, named after Grandma's maiden name. Sophie designed the logo, 2 hands clasped, forming an H. Clara handled the legal structure. For the first time, the sisters worked as a team instead of against each other. The final scene happened exactly 1 year after the funeral. Clara stood across the street from the old family house, now empty, bank-owned, grass overgrown. A faded American flag hung limply by the door. She crossed the street, dropped the original USB drive into the rusty mailbox with a yellow sticky note, for whoever learns too late. Sophie pulled up in her little beat-up car, windows down, new short haircut blowing in the breeze. Paying respects to the crime scene, she asked, grinning. Clara laughed, a real, unrestrained sound. Just saying goodbye. They weren't the golden child and the responsible one anymore. They weren't victims either. The narrative back. As Clara walked away, a gust of wind caught the papers in her folder and sent one page fluttering. Grandma's last handwritten note, now part of the foundation charter. Trust yourself first. The house shrank in the rearview mirror.
You won, Grandma.
Clara whispered to the desert wind. You won, Grandma. You won. And that, you guys, is what happens when patience meets proof and a little old lady's final gift turns a neighborhood tyrant into yesterday's cautionary tale. If you're dealing with your own HOA Karen right now, drop your story in the comments. You're not alone. Makes your day. Subscribe for more real-life revenge stories. And remember, the quiet ones with the receipts always win in the end. See you in the next one.